Okay.
Right. Well, I've had the pleasure of being here for a week, and this is the 18th trip over 23 years of knowing you. Sorry, I came back. But for those people at home and other areas of the UK or in the world who haven't had the pleasure to see you and see you work horses yet, I think it'd be nice to hear some of your stories. And let's start with, how did you get started having a life with horses and working in this way?
Well, I was born into it. My parents had horses, and so I didn't have much choice. I was on a horse when I was 6 months old, and always had a bunch of horses, mules, donkeys, something around, and it was kind of my escape to be around the animals. I enjoyed more than the people most of the time, so I spent a lot of time around the horses and stuff, and had a lot of exposure, everything from my own parents to people they associated with that had worked with horses and did something with horses. And so I was exposed to a lot of different stuff. But if you're thinking about it, if you're aware, you see a lot that you want to remember. Now, whether that's because you want to repeat it or you want to make sure you never do it. And so I could go way back and talk about some things, but in watching and thinking about how a horse was responding to what was taking place there, it became evident to me that the horse's mind was often out somewhere far away from what was taking place, wishing they could get away. And if you got their mind there, it seemed things went a whole lot better. So I feel fortunate that I got to thinking about that as early as I did. And most people don't think about a horse's thinking at all. But I don't know if that, if you'd have seen me as a young child, you wouldn't have said I was horse crazy. But I was around them all the time. But I wasn't necessarily horse crazy, but like you hear people, because, we had dogs and goats and cats and chickens and all kinds of critters to terrorize. Didn't just have to do horses. So over time, just got more and more involved with the horses, I guess. And horses were a means to an end at some level, because we used them cattle work, and I worked for some other people. Got a lot of wild cattle and stuff, and so the horse was a very useful part of life. And yet, I tried to see how I could make that as good as I could for the horse. And,
was this something that was this a story you remember? Something you remember that got you thinking about the horse's thoughts?
When I was small, I had an incident with some horses, and I got banged around a little, and it put a lot of fear in me. And I had a lot more fear on the ground than I think most people that were around me realized. And so I would, my self-preservation was pretty high there. And you begin to see that a horse's self-preservation, when it kicked in, mine had to. And so I was looking for a way to avoid that. And if a horse was mentally present, thinking about what was going on, and believed that he chose to be there instead of knowing that he was forced to and wanting to be somewhere else, then my self-preservation didn't have to kick in.
It sounds like you were also able to feel how the horse was feeling.
Well, I say that the level of fear I operate on um, made me empathetic to that horse's level of fear. Um, and I see a lot of people that it doesn't seem to matter to if the horse is upset, nervous, worried, scared half to death. As long as they can force an outcome, it doesn't matter. But that's not a good feeling, and I recognize that. So try to avoid that with a horse. Not that you always got it done, but you were attempting.